A market economy won't work, even if the order is just wrong changing the law. Episode 9. Creating the Soil for Capitalism in North Korea, the Order of Legal System Reform. Creating the miracle on the Taedong River. North Korea's Workers' Party can implement a market economy. The order is crucial in legal and institutional reform. We must build the foundation in the following sequence: property rights, contracts, finance enterprises, land, labor, external economy. If the order is incorrect, the market will not function. The market economy will only begin to operate once everything is fully established in the following order: constitutional guarantee of property rights, refinement of civil law regarding contracts, real rights, and claims, establishment of a financial and monetary system, enactment of enterprise law to permit private enterprises, reform of the land system to allow trading of usage rights, liberalization of the labor market, gradual liberalization of prices and trade, opening up to the outside world and attracting investment. In Stage 1, the provisions on property rights are revised based on the constitutional foundation. Articles 20 through 24 of the current North Korean Constitution recognize only state and cooperative ownership of the means of production, limiting private ownership to consumer goods. Private ownership of the means of production, which is the starting point of a market economy, is blocked at the source. While maintaining Article 11 regarding the party's leadership, the phrase "utilizing market economy principles under the guidance of the party" is inserted in the economic sphere to resolve ideological contradictions. Just as China resolved the same issue using the expression "socialist market economy," North Korea can utilize expressions such as "Yucha market economy" or "our-style market economy." In Stage 2, we will comprehensively establish a civil law system. Currently, North Korea lacks a civil law in a substantive sense. Without a legal framework for contracts, property rights, and obligations, the market cannot function. The market will only operate if laws such as the Civil Procedure Act and the Enforcement Act are enacted, enabling courts to resolve contract disputes and enforce judgments. In Stage 3, we will involve reforming the financial and monetary systems. There is no market economy without finance. It is the most technically complex area. The Central Bank Act must be amended to separate the current single bank system, where the North Korean Central Bank performs both currency issuance and commercial banking functions, into multiple sectors. The North Korean Central Bank should exclusively handle monetary policy, currency issuance, and foreign exchange management, while a separate commercial bank should be established to handle deposit and lending operations. The currently dualized official exchange rate and market exchange rate must be unified. Current account transactions must be liberalized to allow for the free settlement of trade payments. Capital transactions can be liberalized in stages while maintaining certain controls in the initial stages. The money supply should be managed in conjunction with prices, and the stabilization of the North Korean won should be pursued by setting targets for foreign exchange reserves. Although unnecessary in the initial stages, it is necessary to design a Securities Capital Market Act in preparation for 5 to 10 years from now. The issuance of stocks and bonds should be permitted, and a stock exchange should be established to secure a path for gradual privatization through the partial listing of shares in state-owned enterprises. In Stage 4, an Enterprise Act should be enacted to allow the legal existence of private enterprises. 4 corporate forms should be introduced: joint stock companies, limited liability companies, limited partnerships, and foreign joint ventures. Even if state-owned enterprises are not privatized immediately, they must be corporatized by granting them legal personality. Substantive management rights should be transferred to executives, and the party committee should limit its role to supervising strategic direction. In Stage 5, it is time to reform the land and real estate systems. This is the most sensitive yet critical area in North Korea. The key is to maintain state ownership of land while commodifying usage rights. We can refer to the Chinese model, where land ownership remains with the state and collectives, while land use rights have been turned into commodities. By allowing these usage rights to be transferred, used as collateral, or inherited, a de facto real estate market was formed. By incentivizing investment through long-term contracts of over 30 years for cooperative farmland to farming households, allowing the free sale of production surplus to the market, and permitting the transfer of farmland use rights, large-scale agriculture can be enabled. In Stage 6, the labor market is to be gradually liberalized. This is a difficult decision to make easily in North Korea, a society that is both critical and strictly controlled. This is because everyone in North Korea must belong to an organization and lead an organized life, with the workplace serving as the basic unit of that organization. Currently, North Korean labor laws operate under a system where the state allocates and controls the labor force. Allowing the free movement of individuals would fundamentally alter the foundation of the state's governing order. However, a market economy requires free contracts between workers and employers. The freedom to choose one's occupation must be codified to abolish state placement and transition to a system of free employment. While the liberalization of movement, residence, and employment in North Korea is a radical measure, it is not a difficult task. Furthermore, maintaining the party organization at the workplace is a separate issue from the workers' freedom of employment, movement, and residence. In Stage 7, new tax and fiscal systems will be established. North Korea has had no official taxes since the declaration of tax abolition in 1974. Taxes are essential as a fiscal foundation when transitioning to a market economy. Taxes will be imposed on individual labor income, business income, and capital income, starting with low rates to encourage tax compliance. Corporate income tax will be levied on corporate profits. In Stage 8, laws on competition and consumer protection will be enacted. Once the market is established, monopolies and unfair trade practices must be regulated. Intellectual property laws must also be overhauled, requiring the modernization of patent, trademark, and copyright laws. In Stage 9, the foreign investment law will be comprehensively revised to legislate the opening of the external economy. Foreigners will be guaranteed an investment environment equal to that of domestic residents, and permitted, restricted, and prohibited investment sectors will be clearly classified. The freedom of profit and remittance, which are key incentives for investment, must be guaranteed, and the legal system must ensure the prohibition of expropriation of investment assets and provide prompt and sufficient compensation in the event of expropriation. Allowing international arbitration through the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ICSID, or the International Chamber of Commerce, ICC, is crucial for resolving investment disputes. The Joint Venture and Cooperation Act will also be amended to relax or abolish mandatory equity ratios for North Korean partners and permit 100% wholly foreign investment. Changes to partners will be restricted to protect management rights. The establishment of trading companies will be liberalized to dismantle the current state monopoly system. In Stage 10, we will establish an infrastructure for judicial and dispute resolution. Even with laws in place, they are meaningless without an enforcement system. We will establish an economic court dedicated to handling intercompany contract disputes. We will enact a commercial arbitration law to establish the Pyongyang International Arbitration Center. We will adopt the United Nations International Arbitration Rules UNCITRAL and join the New York Convention, which recognizes and enforces foreign arbitration awards. This is the roadmap for legal system reform. In the first and second years, we will refine fundamental laws such as property rights, contract law, corporate law, and investment law. In the third to fifth years, we will complete the civil code and comprehensively establish market systems through land reform, financial reform, commercial courts, and state-owned enterprise reform. In the 6th to 10th years, the capital market is fully launched, competition laws are introduced, and privatization is expanded to pursue the advancement of the market economy. When economic liberalization resulting from legal and institutional reforms is compatible with the maintenance of the political system, we must examine the fundamental tension between the two. As demonstrated by the models of China and Vietnam, the coexistence of economic liberalization and political authoritarianism was possible for decades. However, the following two conditions were essential. One is the abandonment of the party and the state's monopoly on economic benefits. Recognizing property rights means that the party relinquishes a significant portion of its exclusive control over the allocation of economic resources. This substantially alters the power base of the North Korean regime. The other is the establishment of at least a minimum level of the rule of law. For contracts and property rights to be truly protected, the courts must function independently of the party's directives, at least in economic cases. While one may still wonder whether this constitutes a purely economic reform or inevitably carries political implications, political power must exercise restraint for the sake of economic growth. The cases of China and Vietnam demonstrate that this coexistence is a fully viable model as a practical path during the transition. For a market economy to function, the rule of law must operate in the economic sphere by minimizing political intervention. A market economy fails without four key elements guaranteeing contract enforcement, protecting property, and limiting predictable regulations and arbitrary state intervention. Next time, we will discuss special economic zones and special laws that can accelerate the attraction of foreign investment as North Korea transitions to a market economy. Thank you.